have the ability to kick the ball at the back of net, but I think being crazy can help.
It's hard for me to liken it to anything else.
You are somehow always the guy who decides if you win or if you lose.
You have to have a different sort of mentality, almost that villain mentality.
You are literally an individual in the team sport, and if you make a mistake, you're there on your own.
Goalkeeping chooses its victims. They do not choose the job. And when you read the job description, it's easy to understand why there are so few applicants. You stand on your own, cut off from the rest of the team, taking abuse from the opposition fans. Your job is to prevent the very reason supporters come to games: goals. You voluntarily put yourself in the way of flying balls, and no matter what you do, you always get criticised. So why on earth would you want to be one?
Yeah, when you put it that way, I'm not quite sure myself, but in all seriousness, I think it's that reason almost to be different. I think you either have it or you don't. A majority of people like the glory of scoring goals and being the main focus of attention, whereas as goalkeepers we're different. I get a kick out of stopping the goals, denying a striker from scoring a great goal and seeing the look on his face when he's devastated, the crowd going, being disappointed that the goal wasn't scored.
My immediate draw was I just love diving around, banned from diving around on my sofas at home, so diving around in the mud and playing football, or I like just simple things like playing catch, cricket, being a fielder. They all kind of tied in when I was a kid.
Yeah, I think initially when I got into goalkeeping, it wasn't necessarily by choice. So for me it was, we didn't have a goalkeeper, and I remember my first few games as a kid when I was 7 years old, 8 years old, and I saved a penalty in my third game, and we ended up going on to win the game by a single goal. And I remember the feeling that I got, and even now I'm getting hairs on end. I remember the feeling I got, and yeah, I just felt like I was naturally quite good for the position.
Probably first the motivation of getting beaten very hard. So this challenge of facing good strikers, good opponents who tried to beat me, and sometimes they were successful, but sometimes I was better, and probably that was the kind of motivation I always liked.
I used to kind of play centre-back for my under-12s team, and the keeper who was playing was too old, so when he moved up with another keeper, and for some reason I got chucked on goal, and I've been there ever since. So I wouldn't say destined, but that's where I've ended up.
I was born to be a goalkeeper because simply of my genetics and of my father. So when I started to play, I wanted to be a striker like anybody else. But they said, no, your father was a keeper, just go into goal. So very early it was decided for me. And and once you get into that position, it's the most unique, for me, the best position you can play in professional football or in children's football, because you are somehow always the guy who decides if you win or if you lose.
And when you make a save that helps your team earn a victory, the rush is comparable to hitting the back of the net.
But the first memories of saving shots was always great. I remember even from an early age, I just think whenever you're able to save a shot and you do the impossible, and then everyone thinking how on earth did he do that?
It's always nice to make saves. I think if you then go on to win the game, it is very satisfying. But equally, there can be games where as a keeper you might not have too much to do, but you really have to battle as a back four, and I think you just take so much pleasure in keeping a clean sheet and walking off at the end of the game, without conceding, because you work so hard during the week to do that, and you almost feel like you've done your job if you come off and you've not conceded.
I think patience in the moment is critical. I think you have to read the game really well. You have to be in the right spot, as you mentioned, physically. But the best saves that I've made have been at crucial times in the game, and I can always remember just being patient. And patience could actually be a split second.
It's nice making pretty saves, big dives, big blocks, but saves that impact the match are the most important ones for me and give me the greatest pleasure. Even if it's a simple cross taken at 1-1 and you end up winning the game 2-1 or the game finishes 1-1, they give me the biggest buzz because they affect the match. You look deeper, you want to protect the team, especially when you've got a team that you see working hard, you know, putting challenges in, pressing. You know, they do a lot more. They do a lot more running, for instance, than a goalkeeper.
The modern-day goalkeeper has to be able to do so much more than just save shots. From the introduction of the back pass rule to the development of balls that move like a plastic bag in a hurricane, there's always something making their lives that bit harder.
For me, the goalkeeper's position has changed in the last 15-20 years, the most of all in professional football, because the position became much more complex. If you're looking at goalkeepers like Manuel Neuer or Ter Stegen from Barcelona, which are such unbelievable good football players with their leg, you know, they are probably have the same level as a decent first or second division player in England or in Germany, just simply with their feet.
The speed of the game, I think as a goalkeeper, shots are coming that much quicker, you need to be more agile. Obviously the ball can deviate in the air with the way the ball is now, and you need to obviously be able to react as fast as you can, and you know, to do that you need to be in the best shape you can be. You need to be as strong as you can to deal with the power of the ball coming at you or contact with other players. So you need to be strong, you need to be flexible, and you obviously need a good sprint when you're dealing with crosses or shots. So there's more and more aspects of the game that you need to kind of work on.
I'm not really a visionary. I don't see the next level or the next improvement. So it's always a great bonus to me when someone tells me that they've done something new and exciting, and I feel it, and I'm like, yeah, I didn't know I needed that. But the way that especially like my company Nike look into things and the way they're trying to evolve it, they've got a specific goalkeeper section now. I'm always trying to look for the best ways of helping you, best grips. It's great for me. It's really interesting to meet up with them and see what they're thinking.
First of all, when you want to become a top goalkeeper, it's mostly important that you can heavily concentrate and that you try to completely put the fear out of your game. So it's a mental setup, and it's still very hard. What actually separates the good goalkeepers from the top goalkeepers is dominating your area, coming for crosses in every environment. And technique there is catching but punching as well with your right and your left fist. So it's a show of dominance as well. If I show you I'm not that scared as you are, it's a big advantage already.
It's some really special athletes in goal now. It's not as uncool to be a goalkeeper anymore. So it was almost the athletically blessed lads would look to try and play in every other position and use what they've been given. But now, a great athletic build would be directed in goal. You could really do great things. You can make an impact on the world stage as a goalkeeper nowadays.
As the goalkeeper's job description has radically changed over the years, their training has evolved. No more aimless running in a session with the outfield players. Specialist coaches are devising bespoke programs for the gym and the pitch to build athletes fit for purpose. Physical strength will help you do your job as a goalkeeper, but mental strength will help you survive.
Yeah, I nearly quit on the back of a mistake. So I'd have been 25, 26, probably had my best ever season, and we had a playoff game, championship against Hull City, and it was, we lost the first leg, we were winning in the second leg, and we looked really, really strong. And I made a bad decision. Ball went up, I thought I could get it, I didn't. They scored a really soft goal, and they went on to win comfortably, and they made the Premier League. The toughest thing was that it was the last game of the season. So that game finished, we then had the 4-hour drive home, I had 6 weeks summer break, and you can imagine every single day I'm beating myself up, especially in the world of Twitter, Facebook and everything else. People were quick to let me know their thoughts, and I found that really tough. And I remember the following season, I had a bit of a niggling injury. I actually pulled myself out of the team for a while, and my career took a downward spiral, and that's when I really heavily got into the mental side of it, because I knew it was either a case of you learn to deal with this or you don't. Yeah, I think the motivation for the book itself was that having gone through everything that I've gone through and being very close to quitting the game to then have the best season of my life, I just thought that it was just a really nice platform. I wrote my book all on my BlackBerry, which are dying out now. I think I'm one of the last people with a BlackBerry, I think. But again, it was almost by accident. Like, it started out just a bit of a cathartic way of looking back over the season because it was such an extraordinary season. And before I knew it, this blog that I'd written was quite good. So I carried on with it, and 2 weeks in Florida, and by the end of it I had a book on my hands.
You are literally an individual in a team sport, and it is one of them where, you know, if you make a mistake, you're there on your own, and you know, you can't, obviously you can make other saves, but it's not like you can go up the other end and score.
If you play for one of the best teams and maybe you don't get as much work, you know, mental strength is being focused for 90 minutes and making that one save when called upon. Mental strength is also if the team isn't doing so well, but you are. So you're not winning as much as you want to, but you're playing well, so you have to continue to do your job. So there's many different ways you have to be mentally strong for as a goalkeeper. So I think that's part of the appeal, is the different scenarios and the ways that you have to be strong and wiser than everyone else.
It's fun. I do find it fun because I'd say 95% of the stuff that the battering you're getting is all quite light-hearted. It's people trying to be clever and witty. And you can actually isolate the people who genuinely, you know, some people absolutely lose their mind with you, like they want to kill you, and all you're doing is standing there in goal. And you can, you know, if you make eye contact, you can see the people around them, and you can almost say, "Come on, like, what is this clown doing?" But and that's football. That's our position. It's yeah, I'm going to say it's our job to take the good and the bad.
It was mad because it's kind of like a derby, in fairness. Our local derby was against a team called Lochran, but Antwerp were probably 10 kilometres away from where we were based. But there was a odd bottle, there was the odd coin, there was an odd lighter, and in the end I think I've just picked one and thrown one back. We were winning 3-1, but what I didn't realise was there was a fella doing the gate, he must have been 80 odd, and I thought, oh, it's a bad move, because looking at this gate, it was a steel gate. I'm thinking there's not a chance the gate's coming through. It's, you know, it was the old-fashioned barbed wire on the top, and I just thought there's no way they're getting through here. And then the next minute, the game's still going on at this stage, and I could just see this fella transformed, mate. It was massive, leather jacket on, he's walked through, and I thought, oh, I need this. And then his little mate ran behind him, and then he wanted to pop as well, so I thought, we'll give him a dig, and hopefully that'll settle it down, and then thankfully it did. And I got hate mail, got death threats.
Only a unique individual would choose to put themselves through all of this for very little credit, which is why the old adage says, all goalkeepers are mad.
Jens was definitely, without question, the maddest I've worked with, but he was probably the most professional. I don't know where I lie in that. I don't know whether I wouldn't say I'm crazy. I've done some stupid things.
The maddest goalkeeper. I was working together with Graham Stuck, my first goalkeeping partner at Arsenal. He was Irish. He was kind of mad in his lifestyle. He was Irish and he was a very funny guy. Well, the Irish sometimes they like to drink, and so probably when I was lying in bed sleeping, sometimes, you know, you could smell that he had 1 or 2 drinks. But he was so funny, and he was a good goalkeeper as well.
I remember I raced Jens Lehmann, and all the first team were coming out, and they were all watching, they were all coming out, and we used to do little relays on a Friday. Jerry Payton was a goalie coach, and it would be like, so we'd say a country. So they'd say, he said Peru, it'd go Chile, America, Belgium, and then on Peru, you'd have to sprint. And it was like first to 3, and I was sort of like done winning 2-0 against Jens. He was like, weren't the quickest, Jens, you know what I mean? And I was young and I was fit. And I remember on the last one, I've turned around and beaten backwards. And all the other lads had watched it, all the first team players had seen it, and they all started hammering him. And he chased me, Jens kept chasing me. So I've stopped, and he's carried on past the finish line to try and catch me. And I thought he wanted to kill me because he just hated losing. I don't think you've got to be crazy to be a keeper. I think you've got to be brave. I think you've got to be strong mentally. And I think you've got to have the ability to keep the ball at the back of the net. But I think being crazy can help.
I played for like 25 clubs in 13 countries, on all 6 FIFA continents, which makes me the only player so far who have achieved that. I love animals more than anything else, and I just had that fable for having exotic pets at home. So I had some monkeys in Singapore or some lizards, whatever you call it, I just had it. And when I played in New Zealand and I saw the beautiful penguins, I thought, well, why not? You know, I maybe can cultivate them to be a nice pet. Within a few hours or a day, I realized that that won't work out, so I gave the penguin back into his normal life again. But that story follows me, of course, all the way around.
When you've had a nightmare and you're getting it from the press, the fans and your teammates, there's a select group of people who understand your pain. The Goalkeepers Union. In this fabled brotherhood, everyone sticks together, don't they?
So you play the position, I don't think you really do get it. I think that's why keepers are like that. I think they understand how hard the position is, and yeah, I think it's one of them. I think you just have that bond with other keepers just because of that. I think you really know how tough the position is and what you have to go through to be a goalkeeper, and you know the highs and the lows that you experience.
No, I've never understood the GK Union. You know, the whole Goalkeepers Union. Coaches used to say, "Oh, look at the goalies, look at the union and all that," but I've never been on that. And I've told players openly and goalies openly that the union ain't. It's not for me, because I'll respect you and I'll train and I'll do what's right by you. If I'm not playing, I'll warm you up properly. I'll make sure I'm out there on time. I'll make sure the balls are ready. I'll make sure everything's spot on for you to have a good game. Which even in itself is stupid, because I want to play, but it's what's right, and that is what's right. Principally, that's what you should do.
I think with the GK Union, there is a sense of brotherhood, just purely for the fact that you know what each other's going through. So like, even now when I'll see a mistake on TV, I'll know it's a mistake, but it winds me up when I see ex-goalkeepers giving a lot of stick.
I think you certainly have sympathy for other goalkeepers. You have, I think the Goalkeepers Union was born of goalkeepers understanding that it is a different position. We are kind of isolated in our work and in our criticism, and so yeah, there's probably some sympathy there, and I think that's where, if another goalkeeper doesn't have a great game, you're happy you won, but at the same time, you can also look at them and go, I've been there, I understand what that feels like. But other than that, it is a bit of a made-up type social club, if you will.
For 90 minutes, the goalkeeper multitasks, switching from shot stopper to sweeper keeper, integrating themselves into the team both tactically and psychologically. They play on the edge. One save away from being a hero, one mistake away from being the villain. Is it the hardest job in football?
That and probably being a striker, but I don't know, I'd say it's one of them because you can make 9 worldies and you make one mistake and people just remember you for the mistake, so I'd probably say goalkeeping is probably the toughest.
We have to respect and appreciate each other's responsibility. Center halves have to go up. They take elbows and cuts across the eye every other game. A midfielder's literally got to bust his lungs to run up and down the field. I gotta be honest, I wouldn't want to do that. I don't have the wherewithal to run 13K in a game, but I need to respect the guy that does, just as way he has to respect me for putting my face in front of a 70-mile-an-hour shot and for diving around like an idiot where it all hurts. And so there's aspects to the game that need to be respected.
We have a bigger responsibility, and I think you have to take that on board. You have to be encouraged by that, by taking on that responsibility. We have probably a bigger leadership role in the team than most players.
Listen, sticking the ball in the goal is what wins matches, keeps managers in jobs, gets players promoted, gets players money for bonuses and whatever else. So that's probably the most important thing, is scoring goals. But for me, I think the hardest job on the pitch is being a goalkeeper.